Bien, bonjour à tous qui suivez United Rock Nations. Aujourd'hui, j'ai le plaisir d'être avec Spencer de Periphery qui va nous parler du prochain album qui sort bientôt le 5 avril et on parlera également de la tournée et de plein d'autres choses. Spencer, thank you very much for being with us tonight on United Rock Nations. We have a lot of things, exciting things to talk about because 2019 is going to be a pretty exciting year for Periphery with this new album that comes out on April the 5th.
Yep.
It's entitled Periphery 4 Hail Stan.
Hail Stan.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so first question. How does this album stand out from the Periphery discography and how is it still like a real Periphery record?
For me, I think the biggest difference is that it's a lot heavier. It's a lot consistently heavier and darker. Like, even though there's still a lot of melody on the record, it's very minor kind of feel for most of the songs, and lyrically it's a very dark record as well. Like, I feel like all the way across the board it's heavy dark.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's dark and aggressive from the very start.
Yeah,
you guys just punch the listener in the face with the first three songs, which we are going to talk about a little bit later on. But it's also a special record since you guys had a lot of time on your hands to compose and record the album. Could you tell us a bit more about how you composed the record and how this workflow changed from the previous releases?
Sure. I think the biggest difference between the process of every other record we've done and this one is that when you have a year to write and record and you've only had maybe 3 or 4 months to write and record the other ones, when you finish demos, they don't necessarily have to be finished. When you finish them, you get to sit with them, and anything down the road, maybe a couple months down the road after they're done, if you're like, wait a second, like that isn't right for that part, we're gonna go back and change it. We're gonna do this, we're gonna add this, we're gonna take this away, and we've never had that luxury with any of the other records. So I would say that's probably the biggest difference.
And so it's cool because it obviously gave you time, guys, to think about what you want to put in the record and what you want to leave outside maybe for another record or other projects. But isn't it also a bit like a double-edged sword, because when you have so much time on your hands, I guess you guys might have come with a lot of material, and when the moment came to make the final cut, I guess there must have been some tough decisions to make.
Not as many as you'd think. The songs that we chose for the record, they all kind of have their own vibes together, and that was like the main goal with everything. Once everything was done, it's like, what has this kind of vibe, what has a different kind of vibe, and we didn't want anything to really like impede on each other stylistically, and we wanted everything to have its own kind of space and its own moment, and there was some stuff that got cut maybe because it had too much of a vibe of one of the other songs, but I feel like we ended up nailing it, and it wasn't too hard to nail down the track listing.
Cool to know.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about the album theme in general? So it looks like it's a concept album, but maybe it isn't as much of a concept as it was with Juggernaut.
Yeah, it's actually not a concept record at all. There's a little bit of melodic themes that come back, weave in and out, but isn't lyrically conceptual at all. I think Juggernaut's the only record we've done where it's like kind of a conceptual story from start to finish.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's very different, when composing a concept album from an actual, more of a collection of songs. They're more, obviously you have a consistency between songs, but not lyrically.
Yes.
So talking about the composition, did you bring yourself riff ideas on guitar for that record, or you just focus on the lyrics and the vocal parts? For
this, I just focus on writing the lyrics and the vocal parts. I help structure it, so I'll come in once the guys are done demoing out ideas, and I'll help them structure things into songs and be there for part of that. But I didn't actually write any riffs or anything on this record.
Okay. Do you when you go, obviously Periphery is very technical music. So from an external point of view, we may think that you guys write down everything to the notes. But is that really the case? How much of this music is written down, and how much is actually performed and spontaneously recorded?
Everything is just spontaneously done. Maybe somebody will spend time getting a riff down before they record it, but everything is just, we don't rely on theory for anything. I don't know any theory really, aside from knowing how to count time signatures and Like I don't know what scale is what and what key is coming in, what key changes are happening. Like we do everything off of feel for the most part.
Knowing how to contact the fingers, that's really a survival. It means a survival when you're playing periphery.
Yeah.
I know. Okay. So when you went out to record Hellstand, did you have like lots of demos, as we said, or did you guys let the inspiration come into the studio? And how much time did you spend in the studio actually?
Well, the studio time that we took was it was split up over. We did maybe a couple weeks in the studio doing drums, and then it was like take a break and then come back a month later, record all the guitars to the drums, take a break. And while all this is happening, I'm recording all my vocal takes to the demos, because the demos were these final structures to where it was like, okay, they're not changing. I mean, certain little nuances of the takes may be a little bit different, but structurally they're going to stay the same. So the majority of all the vocals that I recorded are done over demos. So we kind of worked in tandem together.
Okay. So this record was the first that you independently produced. I guess this is why you had so much time on your hands. How do you feel having worked under more, I would say, more time constraints in the past? How does it feel now to be to have more freedom in that creative space?
It feels great, and like I said earlier, like not having that deadline to stress you out and to be like, oh, maybe if the record doesn't feel the way it needs to feel to us at the end of the year, we can take more time because we have that luxury now. Nobody's telling us no, or nobody's saying this is the fucking deadline you have to meet.
Let's talk about some of the songs of the album, and I want to start with the first one, Reptile. Very ambitious. It's your longest song to date, 16 minutes, and it's the first song. So you guys turn out like very boldly with a 16-minute song.
That's our middle finger. That's showing everybody that we can just do whatever the hell we want to do, and nobody's going to tell us no. We can put that at the. Most people would have put a song like that at the end of a record, and we talked about that at first, but then it was like, no, like why? It doesn't matter. We're going to do what we want to do, and we want to make the statement, reminding everybody of that.
And make no mistakes, not because it's a 16-minute song doesn't mean it's not kick-ass.
Thank you.
There you go. All right. Yeah. So, did you guys know it was going to be a long song before you started it, or did you just came out with a lot of ideas and in the end, oh, that's 16 minutes at the corner?
That's the first song that the guys started working on for the record, and they wrote the majority of the riffs and pieced a lot of the sections together in just 2 days. It took them only about 2 days to write the majority of that. There was a lot of structuring after the fact, after everything was done and written, and drum parts that changed, and certain sections that maybe were cut down in half or even lengthened out. But the majority of everything was written over just 2 days, and it was the first thing that was written for the record.
Okay. So first song of the album, first one to be composed. That's great. Let's talk about now Blood Eagle, which is the first song that you released. It has it has an official music video that you guys need to check out. Blood Eagle is obviously very aggressive as well, very brutal. Can you tell us about the theme of the song, what Blood Eagle is?
So a lot of people think it's like an anti-Christian song. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about that online. But what it is, it's just, it's not exact history or anything, but it's inspired by the history of Vikings raiding England and killing Christians. So I guess naturally some Christians hear those lyrics and automatically, oh, it's an anti-Christian song, but it's not.
And I mean, they obviously would be a bit disturbed by the next song, Church Burner.
Well, that's actually the exact opposite. So I'd said, this isn't a concept record, but those two songs lyrically tie into it because they're mirrored opposites. So like I said, Blood Eagle is about what it's about, and Church Burner is the opposite. Like it's inspired by the history of the Catholic Church and Christians invading Scandinavia and trying to convert them and ultimately killing them if they don't convert. There's a lot of history in that.
Yeah, and this also this history that sparked the black metal movement.
Exactly, and that's why
90s. That's why you have the V-shaped huge,
Yes.
like the cult.
And that's why we named it Church Burner. You know,
Yeah.
it's like a kind of a loose tie into that.
And it sounds a bit black metal because of the blast beats and stuff.
Yeah.
I personally really enjoyed that one. It's really kick-ass.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see it live. So where we stand now, it seems like it's all brutality and aggressivity in that record, but there is one song that gave us a little bit of relief, and that's In Only Smiles. It's Only Smiles. So it feels like you're taking all this violence in your ears. It's nice, but
You got to give the people a break.
Yeah.
You got to have a little valley in amongst the peaks in the record.
Yeah. Like, or is it another calm before another storm? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. What are the songs that you are the most looking forward to play live?
For me, Reptile. That's my favorite song on the record. That's definitely one of my favorite Periphery songs we've ever written, and I can't wait to play. We've been talking about, on our next headliner maybe opening with it and just walking out on stage to that. The big orchestral feel, and it'd be a perfect song to walk out to, and I think it would be so much fun to play it live.
Yeah, and a lot of fun to see as well.
Yeah.
You guys, so let's talk about what surrounds Periphery as well. What is special about you guys is that you play a very technical music, but you're also very open in sharing your experience, both musicianship and also the way that you work as a band. I was just looking at Matt's video about how to be endorsed by a music brand on Facebook, and you guys do a summer camp as well. So I guess it might be important to you guys to share your experience with musicians that want to make it in the industry as well. So
yeah, absolutely. There's no secret to any of that, and we're not harboring any secrets. It's like people want to ask us questions, we'll give our honest answers on it, and it may not always be what you would expect to hear or what you want to hear, but we're always honest about it.
Okay, so next summer camp is going to be
so we did one last year, so probably either next year or the year after, depending on what our touring schedule is going to be like. And maybe for 2020, I think we're going to try and get over here for some summer festivals through all of Europe. So maybe not next year, unless it does fit in the schedule. I don't know.
Okay. So talking about touring, you guys gonna go on a US tour pretty soon.
Yeah.
When are you guys planning on returning to Europe and France, for that matter?
There's talk of us doing a European tour later this year. Nothing's set in stone yet, so I don't know if it'll for sure happen, but we're trying to set something up right now. So, maybe late fall, early winter time, later this year.
Okay, pretty cool. Do you want to add something about the record, or say something to the fans at Untitled Chapter Nations?
All I have to say is smoke beer and hail Stan.
Yeah, hail Stan. Thank you very much, Spencer. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hey, this is Spencer from Periphery, and you're watching United Rock Nations.